Well, one of my concerns, and I know this because I speak to you guys at home every night, you keep me company, and I know that there are an awful lot of people, and you've already emailed in tonight already, some of you have been telling me that you wouldn't vote now. I don't even think I would. And one of the things, Gina, and I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. In this country, there are a lot of people that are very disengaged with politics, perhaps have been disengaged for a very long time. We had, and I just want to get this elephant kind of in the room out there and let's discuss it. Because there were many people in this country that turned out for one of the biggest democratic mandates that this country has ever seen, which was the Brexit referendum. There was a referendum which inspired people to come out and go to the ballot boxes and put their tick or their cross, whatever, in the box. We were told it was it was 72-something%, one of the highest turnouts we've ever experienced, certainly in recent years. We were all told, whatever you decide in this referendum, Brexit, the result will be implemented. What we saw then was a series of actions, activities, intentions, all of which designed to try and reverse that Brexit vote. Many people today remain very angry about it. Many people today remain disengaged, have returned to being disengaged because of that process. So when we talk about engagement, don't you sit there and feel, looking back at some of the challenges that you put towards the Brexit side of things, that actually you probably did damage to people's engagement with politics?
Well, all the research shows that actually the damage has been done by Partygate and what's happened in the last couple of years. But
I'm talking before that.
Yeah, but I'll go back to before that. So you can't cherry pick and you can't have it both ways. Today, there's been an opinion by Lord Pannick, who represented me in my cases, and the media and the government are jubilant because it's saying that the committee is wrong in its investigation that it's going to put forward. And Lord Pannick has done an opinion saying that it's fundamentally
But I'm not talking about Partygate. You're moving it on. I'm asking specifically about
I'm talking about
Brexit.
the law. I'm talking about the law. So my legal cases never mentioned Brexit. We never actually, in any page, at any point, and we didn't delay the timetable of Brexit, we actually made sure it was done legally. So why I'm saying about the opinion today is because it's the same lawyer giving a legal opinion today about a constitutional question, and we asked a constitutional question of the courts. Nowhere was it mentioned Brexit. We never, ever said that we would undo Brexit. It was impossible in any of the cases I brought, or both, to undo Brexit, because that's not what the cases were about.
But you were very anti-Brexit, and this is...
I'm capable of having two thoughts. One is, you have a battle, you fight, and then you lose it. We lost. And I'm actually on record saying the day after that we're all Brexiteers now, and we have to make the best possible
Hang on.
Britain.
I
am on record
I'll
saying
tell you what
that.
else you're on record saying, Gina. This is an open letter that you wrote to Jeremy Corbyn in 2018. You begged him, your words, not mine, to reject a policy that will so obviously turn our country into a laboratory for one of the most extreme right-wing experiments we've witnessed since the 1930s. Well, this is an open letter that's been published. This is an open letter in The Guardian that's been published, signed by you with your picture and your face on it. So I find that quite odd.
Not to Jeremy Corbyn. It was an open letter, if you like, to the nation. But I didn't write to Jeremy Corbyn. Okay. But I do believe that there was no plan. There was no plan.
But how can you then just say, and I do want to get this out of the way, I want to move on from this issue in a minute, but to me, one of the key facets of political engagement is if this nation turns out to vote with a sentence attached to that vote that this government will implement whatever you decide, to have scores of people...
So do you do that illegally?
No. So where I do think, and I do share the concern with you in terms of
but that's what my case was about.
Yes, but I'm not talking about the legalities. I'm talking about the attitude then, there on in, to try and undermine and reverse Brexit. I've
never done that.
We have sentences such as, we wanted a people's vote.
No, I never
wanted a parliamentary,
I'm sorry, I was never involved
vote.
in a people's vote.
So you didn't want a second referendum?
No, what I said, I was not involved in people's votes. It had nothing to do with me. What I did say is that if it got to the end, and I felt that there was an impasse in Parliament, there may be an opportunity to have a people's vote with all the options on the table. So that's no deal all the way through.
Why?
Because if
somebody's chosen something democratically, why would you feel the need to try and people hadn't changed their minds. You were saying that half the country were not represented.
Michelle, it's a process, it's not the vote. So once you've got the vote, and that's happened, you then have to implement it. Yes? If Parliament is incapable of implementing it, and it was at an impasse, which it appeared it might go to, then there does have to be a solution. And I just voiced the opinion that at that point it might be. But I was never involved in a people's vote.
Yeah, see, I know, and I know that some of my viewers at home are still quite cross about what happened, because it felt to me, and I'll bring you in on this, Daniel.
But, Michelle, you've got to stop. I mean, it is incorrect and a lie to say that I tried to reverse Brexit. That is a blatant lie, because nothing I did could possibly have done that.
But I've just turned around to you and I've just read to you an open letter where you're saying, you're calling on Labour's leader to reject this policy, and the sentence that you use to reject a policy that will so obviously turn our country into a laboratory for one of the most extreme right-wing experiments we have witnessed since the 30s. See, I find that appalling.
Yes, because we were looking at no deal at that point.
Why would no deal make us like the Nazis? I just think this is an astonishing thing to say.
I didn't say...
But when you talk about the right wing in the 30s, we know what we're talking about. We know what the code
I never said the 30s in there, and I've never said... there is a move towards right wing.
It does. I've read it.
Read it out. I'm not totally deaf. I'm getting that way, but I'm not totally deaf.
This is this is what I'm reading, by the way, the letter to Jeremy Corbyn.
The right-wing experiments, 1930s, you're talking about Nazis and fascists. That's what you're actually talking about. That's the message it's intended to convey. I think it's very interesting that Gina says that the government didn't have a plan, and I think that's probably a reasonable thing to say about Mrs May's government for some of the time. And what I'd hoped, I genuinely hoped, and I was naive, was that the people who'd opposed, who voted Remain in the referendum, would accept the result and would say, yeah, we're going to now contribute to the plan and try and work... Can I finish? And we're going to contribute to the plan and try and sit down and work out what sort of Brexit we want. And the fact is they didn't. The great majority of them, who were in positions of power and authority, used their efforts to try and cancel the whole enterprise.
I can't answer
often
for them.
By secure... I'm not accusing you personally, but this is what happened. And I think, and I'm starting by agreeing with you, there wasn't a plan. But what should have happened? People should have contributed to the plan. They didn't. And there was this great effort to stop it and reverse it, which the Labour Party associated itself with under Keir Starmer when he was the shadow cabinet minister involved. And, of course, they got punished for it. And I think that's a great pity. The really important thing is that Brexit was a constitutional change of great importance. And what it meant is that our laws, and our democracy has been restored to us. And our laws are now under our control, except for Northern Ireland, which I think we're going to discuss a little bit later.
We're going to come on to that.
We're going to come on to that.
But we never lost the ability.
No, we did. We did, absolutely. Laws were made by qualified majority voting, by countries nothing to do with us, imposed on us, and we had no say.
Oh, we're going to, by the way, hang on. We agreed a little bit.
I'm going to finish my sentence.
Parliament agreed to that.
Yes, and Parliament agreed to it, but they didn't legislate for it. We were not having our laws made democratically in this country. Now we are. And the consequence of that, in my view, is that we have got to take our own democracy very much more seriously.